Okay, so welcome back to the Young Creatives Podcast. My name is Michaela, and today we have two very special guests. The first one is going to be a new member of our team. You want to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Christian. I am the new marketing coordinator.
Yes. So I'm very excited. And then in addition to that, we also have Maddie. Is it Cybers? Sievers. Awesome. So she actually owns a company for embroidery. She has Maddie Stitches. Did you want to introduce yourself, Maddie?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Maddie. And as said, my company or business is Maddie Stitches, when we make hand embroidered and machine embroidered apparel. I'm 24. I'm fresh out of college, and this is our first year.
Yay!
Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's super exciting. So again, I kind of want to just go into, so as far as you're 24, and did you ever see yourself starting a business this young, or like how did it kind of come about? Like, okay, I want to do this full time.
Mm-hmm. As far as like seeing myself, probably not in college, but like as a child, yes, I feel like I was always kind of interested in like making my own things and then selling them. My family makes fun of me because I would like host fashion shows and make everyone pay $0.25 to attend. And I remember like my brother, he like couldn't afford it one time, and I like didn't let him join for 25 cents. I feel like I've always had like an entrepreneurial spirit. And yeah, so I didn't study this in college. I studied nonprofit management, actually. So like not for profit. But I started this business in my last semester or my last year, and it really took off, and it just kind of made sense to continue to pursue it because I didn't have anything lined up otherwise. And it was something I was really enjoying doing, and I wanted to see where it could go.
Absolutely. Well, that's super, super awesome. And so again, you do mostly like embroidery work. So is that with the sewing machine, or is that hand stitching, or both, I guess?
They're both. They're like different things, but yeah. So like I started with hand embroidery. That's what I've been doing for years, but it's not easy to scale a business when everything is handmade for like 10 hours, like we talked about. So I bought a machine when we moved out here in May, and I've been learning how to use it and started selling machine embroidered apparel in August.
Yay.
Are you self-taught?
Yeah, I'm self-taught. I mean, like YouTube videos and stuff like that, but yeah.
That's super cool. So kind of branching off Christian's question, did you get the embroidery passion from someone in your life, or did you just kind of see it and was like, oh, I'll try it? Like, how did it kind of come about?
So the story is, I was at a church activity, and that night they were teaching us to embroider, but it was only like an hour long. We didn't learn much, and they gave us a little thing to embroider, but it was very like scriptural and churchy related. So not super interesting. And I like left it in the church closet that night and like barely started. And months later at like another church class, I was kind of distracted and bored, and I pulled it out and I started embroidering, and I realized it helped me listen a lot better, and I really liked doing it. So I started bringing all my own projects to this class every day. And it was my senior year, I think I started, and I seriously like I didn't take any AP courses. I had a bunch of free periods. So I like had my homework done before I even went home from school. So I would just go home and I would watch old seasons of Survivor and embroider like my entire senior year. So that was definitely, I don't know what exactly, well, I guess I love embroidery because it is kind of mindless, but also at the same time, there's so many creative things to do with it. So I love being able to design the pattern, but then when it comes to actually embroidering, it's kind of mindless and you can listen to things or watch things. And so it's like a really relaxing hobby.
That's really, really cool. Awesome. So as far as like your business, I know you talked about it takes like around like 8 to 10 hours to do, people would say like, okay, it's 2 letters kind of thing, but it's intense. Yeah. It has a lot of detail into it. It's all handmade. So how have you been able to manage such a mass order quantity with having that detail take that 8 to 10 hours per product?
Yeah. So basically what I had to do, because the demand was, I brought on contractors. So I had a lot of people reach out to me I was like really like nervous to take this step. I like thought it was like kind of disingenuous maybe, or just like because it's handmade and people like want it from me, maybe like I shouldn't bring on contractors. But honestly, it's worked out really well. And especially because there's a lot of people out there who have the embroidery skill, but maybe don't want to like have to market themselves or build a shop from the ground up. So it's like they, in turn for their skills, I provide them like an endless supply of customers and orders that they can start and stop whenever they want. So that's pretty much how I meet the demand. But also like, as far as like, I still make a lot of them myself. And for me, that's just kind of, in the beginning, I didn't really have like a schedule set out, and I was just like trying to make what spots as I could, but I've had to come to start like schedule it and pace myself, because you can burn out from making the same thing over and over again. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So as far as like the contracting thing, how in depth was that step? Was it super scary? Like, especially because like, I'm assuming that these are people that you didn't initially know. And so how was taking that step at such a young age? Like, how was it overall?
I was really nervous. Like my family and my friends had to like talk me into doing it for like several weeks because I just was so unsure about it. But like, I mean, it's gone really well. I think, like you said, I didn't like know anyone. I feel like I maybe only knew like 3 or 4 people of like the 20 to 30 I've worked with in the past. I guess it's been 6 months, 7 months. And I had to like, I also kind of like very controlling, like I'll admit that about myself. Like I trust myself to do the job best. And so I have a whole system where like they send everything to me and I check it all over before it gets sent out. And like, I had to kind of release a lot of that control I like to have, and not like in quality, but like in style even, or having it look just the exact way I've always done it, even though it looks really good still. So I feel like that was the hardest part, but it's worked out.
Right. No, I can definitely relate to that. Like it's hard seeing something that you're super passionate about and then just giving it to somebody else. And like, especially with your name being on it, like you still wanted to have that same quality and everything. So I just want to go back a little bit into the business. So you do specifically like hand embroidering, machine embroidering. Is there a specific style that you really professionalize in, or is there specific like lines that you're really passionate about? And how does that make your business Maddie Stitches in a way?
That's a good question. I mean, I feel like the floral print or the floral stitches have kind of become iconic. And like, even when we introduced the machine embroidered, you know, every single one on the National Parks line has flowers on it. That's kind of part of the branding throughout it. I don't know. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah. So you do the National Parks line, and then you also do the floral line. So how did those two, so you talked about with the floral lines that was inspired by a customer. Mm-hmm. And then, so with like the national parks, how did that one come up?
That one came up because I was making machine embroidered custom things that just had wording on them. And someone requested the Yosemite one, and it came out really cute. And I had always liked doing national park stuff. Like even when I was just hand embroidering hoops, I had made some in the past of like the parks me and my husband went to. I made little hoops of them. So I've always loved the national parks. And so I was kind of ready to like do more than just lettering on the machine. It's right here. That's why I keep touching it. And so I talked to my sister, who she's 21 and she's a great graphic designer, and just talked about what if we did a national park sign. And I asked my followers on it, and they all seemed really into it on Instagram. And that's how it started.
That's super cool. Cause I like, the biggest thing I think as like such a young creative is that you have like these ideas, but you definitely like want reassurance on them. Right. And so being able to get like feedback is like super important. Cause I definitely relate to that. Like 110%. So as far as like your business, how do you really go about like marketing it? Do you have like ambassadors? I know you have a TikTok and I know you have Instagram. But how do you get the word out about yourself and potentially hiring more contractors?
It's definitely through TikTok. I mean, Instagram's kind of where I just keep in contact with everyone who's already in the pool. But like, yeah, TikTok's the way you grab people. I could go on about TikTok and how it helps small businesses for like days.
Yeah, yeah. That's super cool. So like what kind of content do you like to do? Is it mostly like up close, like the stitching, or is it kind of personal content? Do you like to show off the products, like all that kind of stuff?
I'd say it's a mixture of both. I feel like the TikToks that I've actually have done best for me are like using the pictures I've already taken of the product and then just applying it to a trend. Seems to be really effective. So those are kind of close-ups, or they're like modeling shots of people wearing the stuff. But then also I just like to make content about the daily life of small business things and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So how has being a small business overall like changed your life per se? Like how has it changed your routine, your relationships, like just in general, especially as like a young person? Like how do you feel owning a small business?
I mean, I feel like there's been a lot of change in my life because I left school and I moved out of state. So it's kind of hard to separate what is because of the business or my job or because of all those other changes I've been through. I do think it's kind of like when people ask me about how my business is doing, I either can give them like a one word answer, or I can tell them everything. There's really like no in between. So I really struggle to communicate like just what my life is like. But I mean, I get to work from home, get to pick whatever hours I want. Told you I woke up at 8 a.m. this morning or 9 a.m. this morning. I can stay up late. I like to stay up late. And so I get a lot of work done like past 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night. And so that's nice. I like being able to do my own hours and being able to start and stop whatever I'm doing. I love that. I love thrifting. So going during the day to thrift stores, on a Wednesday, because I just do my business whenever I want, is great.
Right.
I think the one biggest change has been my relationship with embroidery, because whenever, I'd say before this past year and a half, just whenever I was watching a show or movie, I'd pick up my embroidery and do that as well. And I was doing it like every day. And now it's been 10 months since I've embroidered something that like I chose myself, or like just for myself, because that's when things got crazy 10 months ago. And so I like have these projects that I've been wanting to do, and they've piled up that I just have no idea when I'm going to be able to do them again. Because whenever I go to embroider, I'm like, I should be doing the sweatshirts instead. And so I feel like that has changed for me, and it's sad. Like I obviously still get fulfillment from any kind of embroidery, but it's not the same, And so my one big thing I would tell people, I guess, advice is like, obviously pick a business or a job of something you love to do, but don't make it the one thing you absolutely love to do, like your favorite thing. And embroidery is not that for me. Like I kind of sacrificed that hobby in order to make it into my job, but I'm fortunate because I have a bunch of different hobbies that I still love to, and like I get the same as or just as much, even more enjoyment from. And I don't think I would have been able to continue this if embroidery had been like my one and only thing.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
That's a really, really good point, because I think so with graphic design, like obviously I love it. With website design, I absolutely love it, but I'm not necessarily like burnt out of my life knowing that I can't like go through with my other hobbies because I'm so busy doing websites all the time or different things like that. So as far as like your business, how, so you have the embroidery side and the actual design work and doing the stitching. On the other side of it, how do you maintain keeping stock of sweatshirts, like different threads, needles, everything? Like, how does that work? Give us a little bit of insight. Is it super stressful? Did you hire somebody else? Like, how is it like?
So I haven't hired anyone else. I mean, my husband helps me a lot. Like he helped make my website and stuff like that. And also it helps because I technically don't keep stock. Like everything you see behind me is stuff that people have ordered. So when someone orders something, I go and buy the sweatshirt right away instead of like, this is what I have in stock all the time. But I do plan to change that. And I feel like that's kind of the big change that's coming for me, is that I do want to like keep a stock of the machine embroidered stuff. And so it's definitely kind of crazy trying to figure that out. But as far as like other materials, they're pretty easy to control, like the thread and stabilizers. It's easy to just buy a lot of those. There's not a lot of thought that goes into it.
Right. And so let's say I was a contractor and I wanted to sign up today. So what comes in the kit? How does that work? And as far as like communication, how does it work? Do I do shipping? Like, how does it work to be a contractor under you?
Yeah. So if you want to be a contractor, you would first show me a few photos of just in past embroidery work, just to make sure you have some experience and stuff like that. And then I'd say, okay, I'd like you to apply. And to apply, you would have to make a sample sweatshirt of a college sweatshirt. And I would give you the exact details to do, because you could be paid for that sample. If the sample comes out and it's great and it passes all the quality control, then I will actually pay you for that sample. And it will be not only an application, but something you make money off of. And once you have passed that test, if you make it, so you will order your own supplies, but you get reimbursed for all those supplies. You then agree to make a minimum of 10 sweatshirts in any period of time. Essentially, you can set your own deadlines, up to 6 weeks. And yeah, I would be sending you, the only material I'd send to you is the sweatshirt. You would buy everything on your own, which again can be reimbursed. But like when I give you an order, I'll be like, okay, I'm sending you this sweatshirt directly to your house. And that way I can control that like the right sweatshirt gets purchased and the good quality sweatshirt gets purchased. Yeah. And you work on it, you finish it, you send me a photo, I approve it, you mail it to me, and then I approve it in person and make sure the quality of the stitching also worked out, because you can't really tell from a picture a lot of time. And then you get paid, and then I give you your next order.
Wow. Okay.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And you said you have typically how many contractors?
Right now I have about 20, but then I had a TikTok go viral like 2 weeks ago talking about this. And so I have like 10, 15 more people who are like in the process of applying right now too. So
you are a full working businesswoman.
Yes.
This is not like,
yes.
Yeah. So
yes. And running the contractorships, like now that I've got it down to a science, it's not too bad, but that does take a good chunk of my time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So as far as like, how do you juggle it? Like, how do you juggle like making sweatshirts, doing embroidery work, doing design,
other people's work?
Yeah. Checking other people's work, doing design work, responding to emails, texts, calls,
making TikToks.
Yeah. How do you do it?
Yeah. Okay. Well, the one nice thing about this machine is that like once you click the button, it's just going to do it. So now I can be multitasking. It can be making something while I am getting a lot of my like office work done. So a lot of my computer emails and stuff like that done. But to be honest, that's like kind of the next problem, is that I'm not being able to do enough. Like my demand, especially for like the machine embroidered, has gotten so bad that like I don't even have time to market it anymore. Even though I've only made like 6 TikToks about it, I know I could reach a much bigger customer base, but I've been like limited because I'm not even caught up on the orders I have. And so that's why the next thing is outsourcing for me, to essentially no longer be making the machine stitch myself, having someone else make it, and just being able to do fulfillment and marketing when it comes to those. Mm-hmm. So that's my answer, is that I'm not juggling it at all right now, but I do have plans to fix that.
Gotcha. So if you could give any sort of advice to somebody who may be having contractors, kind of dealing with the same situation, talk about like a situation where, or even like the process you went to with getting through like the scientific, like, how do I explain it? Okay. So Michael, cut this out. Okay. So as far as like the contracting work, if you could give somebody the, just like any words of advice on how you went through like the problem solving, like the overall workflow of that, how would you like, what would you give for them for that?
I would say give yourself a lot of time so that you can think of every possible problem that could come from it. And that's honestly what I did. A lot of my parents especially helped me with like designing the contract and the process to apply to be a contractor. And I like sat there and I tried to think of every single thing that could make this not work, and then wrote in, whatever the solution would be to that. And so I'd say give yourself time to try and foresee all those possible problems so you can account for them. And then I'd also just, be ready to make changes fast as they need to happen.
Right.
Because you're not going to get it perfect from the beginning.
Right. Exactly. And so as far as being someone who likes to quality check, and make sure that everything is good, everything is great, how do you respond to people saying, oh, I would have done it this way? And how would you respond to essentially like constructive criticism? And how has that helped you develop different stitching, techniques or processes and all that jazz? I don't think I've gotten any contractors yet be like, this is how I would change it. Maybe they're afraid of me. But this week, what I did actually is I sent out a anonymous survey to my contractors. And it was mostly about their commission rates and stuff like that. So I try to give them an opportunity to give that feedback, because there's some things I want to change, but I want to make sure it makes sense to them and see if they also feel the same way. And also if I'm going to make changes, I want to do them all at once and not have to keep making new contracts and stuff like that. So I don't know, does that answer your question? Yes, no, it definitely does. And so making time for it is super important.
Yeah.
So if you could give any advice to anybody whose TikTok has blown up and they're super overwhelmed with orders, or even somebody who wants to start their own business, what would you say to them?
Okay, well, first to those who are overwhelmed with what happens, I would say take the opportunity and ride it, but also don't burn yourself out, and also take the time to question, is this actually what I want to be doing? When that chaos happened with my first TikTok, that basically there's one TikTok that really started this all, and it was in March, and I got 750,000 views, and I made a Google form for people to say if they were interested in the sweatshirt and write down what they wanted. And I got 1,400 order requests on that Google form. So for me, I'm one person and those take 10 hours each. This is going to take 3 years to do all of those.
Yeah.
And so I had to stop and be okay, am I going to do this though? I'm going to commit to this, because up until that point, I've only ever really done hoops. I've just barely started doing sweatshirts and apparel, but I've always made more wall art, not necessarily wearable art. And I just had to question, you don't have to commit to this forever, obviously. And it's okay even if you just try it for a month, but even before I start that, do I want to do it? So I think that's an important thing to do. But then also once you've decided to do it, I would say, yeah, take the opportunity to keep making TikToks. Cause honestly, I don't know how long TikTok will be in its prime as far as like you said, the opportunity that anyone has to become viral. And I don't know how long that will last on TikTok. Social media apps are changing constantly, and they start out really good and then they kind of make it more profitable for themselves. So,
right.
Yeah,
exactly. And so if somebody's thinking about starting their own business, what would you say to them in that aspect?
I would, if they're starting their own business and they want to use TikTok, I would say spend some time on just a personal TikTok, getting to know the app, getting to know the trends, getting to know how small businesses work on the app. Then I would make yourself a TikTok account and start posting. And I would make sure your first few videos are really good, because TikTok, it wants you to think you'll go viral when you first join the app. So it will give your first few videos more views than normal. So that's why I say you should get some experience first, because for me, on my account, the stuff I first posted wasn't good. So once I had some experience, it got better, but I wish that my first ones had been really good. And yeah, and then I would just say consistency, because it just does take time. It took I was on the app for like 8 months before I finally had a video do well. So
Right.
just don't give up on it.
Right. Okay. No, that's good to know because I didn't even know
Me either.
the fact of like you technically get like higher analytics on your first videos.
Either.
That's a really good point.
Here I am walking around thinking I'm TikTok famous.
That's the point though. They want you to think that. Yeah.
So,
That's a really good point.
yeah.
And I think it's super important to be vulnerable and be like, I was on the app for 8 months
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it took it takes is one video and like
Yeah.
a certain crowd of people to like comment, share. And once that does happen, like you're out of the roof kind of thing. And so with that, as far as like managing orders, doing different emailing stuff, what are like the 3 resources you said like, okay, there's no way I'd be able to run my business without this?
I would say first, like my friends and family, I get so much good feedback from my friends and family. And it's not like you have to have my friends and family. I just mean like people in your life can give you really good feedback on what you're doing and also help you realize like if you're doing this in a way that makes sense for you. Like my family gave me really good feedback on just like, because they know me so well, being like, they know like I like to control things. And like when it came to like develop that contractorship, they were really valuable in helping me understand things about myself and how I should run this. So I'd say those things. Second, I'd just say like the internet in general, like there's so much free knowledge out there between YouTube, TikTok, that you just, I would say like you should seep yourself into whatever it is you're getting into. Just find everything you can find out about it because you don't know what you don't know. And you could be learning things you never would have thought of by just like this podcast. Like this is, free content about marketing that is so valuable to people. And so that's probably the second thing. And the third thing I'd just say would be like the communities, like the embroidery community and the small business community are so valuable in the same way. There's so much free information that they share, but also so much support that they give. And so I'd make sure you like, definitely if you're a small business, get into the small business community, but also whatever it is you're into. Like for me, it's the embroidery, get into that community there, either in person or mostly on the internet, because there's a lot of support to be found there.
Absolutely. And as far as like with myself, I give people gifts that I see like they're going to love and they're going to be like, oh my goodness, you thought of me in this way.
It's very special and
Yes.
personal.
Like I ain't going to be getting you like some generic candle from Walmart unless it's like something you really love.
Mhm.
And so with that being said, support small businesses, please.
Yeah.
Especially because COVID, how did COVID affect you? First of all, like how did it affect you? Like, yeah, I didn't
Well, COVID had already started when I like technically tried to go all in on embroidery. So I would say it helped. I feel like embroidery, like people were trying it as a new hobby for the first time. And so I think there's just more interest in it, also like people were wanting to follow me back on Instagram or my TikTok videos about it. So I guess there's that part.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I did try to do some. But like seriously, like seeing all these people doing like DIY stuff, like
it looks so easy.
and then you try it and you have
It's
such
not.
you have such a like huge appreciation because you're just like, how did she do this
Effortlessly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And she maintains like all of these orders.
Yeah.
And every single product that comes out of her shop, I look at it and I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I seriously have no idea because I'll be like sitting there trying to do a little cute flower on a sweatshirt and I'll be like, this ain't it.
You get frustrated. How do you keep yourself from getting frustrated or discouraged being a small business owner?
That's a good question. Again, I feel like friends and family are really supportive and they help me keep a bigger picture vision of everything. And I think also just like, I'm a very self-motivated person. And so whenever something is not working, I just move to a different project and work on that until I feel like, okay, this came out really good. I can go back to that other thing and feel more empowered to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a good point, because I think people get so obsessed with this one thing that isn't going right.
Yeah.
Really need to take a step back, because otherwise you're going to like blow up. You're going to want to quit. You're going to like obsess over it. And so, yeah, I think you're doing it right, like 100%. And so what's next for the business? Like, as far as, give us a little treat. Like, what's next?
Yeah, what's next is I am trying to outsource the machine embroidered stuff. So all the national park stuff. I am in contact with and working with a local embroidery shop in my area, and we're going to see how that goes. I'm really just hoping to have some sort of inventory going into Christmas season, so that way I can just market those and get those sold. And hopefully next year I can get like an actual more stable infrastructure as far as that, and actually like keep an inventory going. So that's kind of like the next big thing I'm working on. I mean, there's so many like ideas that I've had that we just haven't been able to like work on because things have been so crazy. You know, I had a friend like develop a software that will automatically digitize Spotify codes to be embroidered. And so we wanted to do this thing where you could just get whatever song you wanted, get the code embroidered on a t-shirt or a sweatshirt. And we have that already, but like, I haven't been able to drop it because things have just been so crazy and it just doesn't make sense to do it right now. But that's a little teaser of what could be coming if we ever get it worked out.
We'll definitely be ordering one of those.
Little secret. You heard it here. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's awesome though. Like, you have a lot ahead of you and you're doing great maintaining. Like, the biggest thing is if you were struggling, I wouldn't have known it. Put it that way. Like, you seem happy with what you're doing. Yes. You seem very happy, very motivated, very confident in such an amazing product. And I think you're doing amazing, and you're going to go a lot of like go places in general. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
Of course. Well, yeah. So I guess one other question before you leave, this kind of to leave it off, I guess. Are you enjoying what you're doing at the end of the day?
I love what I'm doing. I honestly do. I think it's hard to compare because I technically never like entered the workforce, you know. I'm doing this right out of college. I've only ever had like part-time jobs. And so sometimes when I'm like really frustrated and I'm like, oh, I should just go get like a salary job or something in 9 to 5, I just know, I try to remind myself like I'd be turning the stresses I have now in for just these stresses that come with that. And so, but it is hard to tell. It's hard to know because I've never actually done that. I don't know what it's like. But honestly, I don't really think about it too much because I am really happy with what I'm doing. And I love being able to like problem solve. I feel like my creativity comes out most in problem solving, even more so than like designing the things that we make, and just figuring out how to make this an effective business. So I'm really happy with it.
Yay! Maddie, it seems like you got it figured out.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have it figured out, you're willing to figure it out.
So. Yeah. Absolutely. And if you don't have it figured out, we wouldn't even know.
No.
Well, awesome. So if somebody does want to purchase one of your sweatshirts or get on your waiting list, where would they go?
So just go to maddiestitches.com. If you want to join the wait list, it's down on the bottom of the page. You just enter your email. And if you want something machine embroidered in the meantime, it'll be right on the front page. You can look through what I offer.
Yay! And then if they wanted to follow you on Instagram, or do you have a Facebook?
No, not Facebook.
Okay. And if they wanted to follow you on Instagram?
Maddie Stitches, MADI.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Well, we wish you nothing but the best in the future, Maddie. And make sure you follow her on TikTok as well before I forget. What's your username on TikTok?
I think it's Maddie.Stitches.
Got it.
Yeah.
She makes good content, so make sure you follow her. But 10 out of 10. Well, thank you so much, Maddie, and we seriously look forward to seeing where you're going, and we'll see you next week on the Young Creatives Podcast.